This is the damper rack with a not yet restored damper. The damper does the following. This little stick rests on the key. If a key is pressed, the hammer moves towards the string. This little wedge, which sits between the strings, is released, allowing the string to vibrate. When the key is released, the wedge repositions itself between the strings, thus damping the strings. The damper wedge comprises a wooden wedge shape covered with leather. Towards the treble, the dampers are shorter, and at a certain point they do not have a wedge anymore, but are flat. So a damper wedge fits between 2 strings, whereas a flat damper rests on 3 strings. Through wear and tear, this leather is worn and also too hard. You can see the impression of the string here. It is no longer fluffy and supple, so no longer optimally functioning as a damper. To replace the leather, the wedge is taken off the damper. Then the old leather is removed and new leather glued on. Here you see the old pieces of leather and the newly covered wedges behind.
Zoals deze bijvoorbeeld. De oude houten kern, nieuw leer omheen, dat heeft weer meer pluizigheid.
These are all the hammers. The hammerheads are all covered with new leather. On this hammerhead, you can see that 2 layers of leather will be glued on.
Dat er 2 laagjes nieuw leer op de kop zijn gekomen. Dat is allemaal bij deze hamers.
These are the hammers in the treble, small, with only 1 layer of leather. From here on, the hammers get bigger, with 2 layers. And here are the hammers of the bass.
Tot helemaal de bashamer.
This is what happens if a key is pressed. See how here at the front the escape lever allows the hammer to escape, and if the key is released, how the hammer is caught again.
Buying or getting materials is really very difficult. There's nothing you can buy except, of course, leather, which is very difficult to get the right leather, and strings you can buy, but for the rest, it's hammer shanks or damper materials, or you can't buy anything. Nothing is standard in an instrument, so if something is missing or needs to be replaced, we have to make it, everything. If it's a hinge or whatever, we have to make it. And materials that we don't use anymore, because we can't, it's too worn out or something, we document very severely, so it can be researched in a later stage. This is a book with documentation on the restoration, and here's the silk which was on the music stand and on the name board, pieces of felt and pieces of strings and cloth, and we all kept it. This is the moderator, old hammer leather.
Hieronder zien we nieuwe geleidingsleertjes voor de dampers, damperstokjes.
New leather, with red painted paper on the outside, was put on the damper sticks, just like it was originally. Also, the top of the rack got new leather, which still has to be made to measure the width of the dampers. The leather allows the dampers to move up and down without any lateral movement. The hook with which the lid can be fastened has been cleaned. The second hook is missing. A copy is carefully being made. The new hook can be put on soon. We saw earlier that the Hofmann certificate was in a bad shape. Now it's back from the paper restorer, and glued back onto the soundboard.